1862, the year Section 377, which criminalized all sexual acts against the order of nature, came into force in another one of British colonies, Malaysia. This colonial era law is the foundation of state-sponsored oppression and discrimination against the queer community. The most popular opinion in Malaysia, like many other Asian nations, is that queer culture is a Western construct. But a closer look at the cultural history shows a long-standing tradition of gender and sexual diversity, if not complete acceptance.
So back then, gender and sexuality weren't really seen as binaries, and they weren't even matters for the state to control. So they existed within customs, communities, and also spirituality. And across the region, you will find incredible examples of this. In Sarawak, for instance, in East Malaysia, they were the Manang Bali. They were shamans who transitioned from male to female after receiving a spiritual calling. And their transformation wasn't seen as strange or seen as sinful, it was sacred. So people believed it gave them healing powers. In the royal courts of the Malay Sultanate, there were the Sida-Sida, attendants who guarded the palace and performed important rituals. And they were part of the royal household, trusted and also respected. And long before colonialism, gender diversity wasn't even seen as a disruption. It was the very thing that kept the world in harmony. But then the British arrived, right? And with them, they brought along Victorian laws, moral codes that turned intimacy into an offense. And Section 377 of the Indian Penal Code was imported to Malaysia, criminalising what they called carnal intercourse against the order of nature. But the impact went deeper than just the law. Colonial rule reshaped the entire moral logic of society. What used to be guided by community and spirituality was suddenly taken over by the state.
Today, the punishment for homosexuality is up to 20 years in prison and mandatory whipping. But that's only part of the story. Malaysia has a dual-track legal system where the Islamic criminal and family laws are applicable to Muslims and run parallel with secular laws. The Islamic laws are enacted by the states, while the secular laws are passed by the parliament. Together, these laws create a dual criminalization regime, giving authorities immense power to punish the LGBTQ+ community.
Under the British, morality was defined through Christian heteronormativity. Under the post-colonial state, it's been rebranded as Islamic morality, but the structure is the same.
We've seen raids, public canings, people being blackmailed and harassed online. There's a deep distrust of the police. Many LGBTQ+ Malaysians and even survivors of sexual violence avoid reporting crimes because they fear being charged themselves. Legal aid is scarce, especially for Sharia cases, and representation is often biased. State laws and religious edicts are used not only to punish but to silence activism. Ambiguous state Sharia laws, such as those relating to insulting Islam and vice prevention, are weaponized to shut down LGBTQ+ inclusive events and organizers. A women's march in Kuala Lumpur in 2019 was quickly branded an LGBT march, and organizers were investigated under the Sedition Act and Peaceful Assembly Act, and similar investigations into other marches have continued.
Many judges hesitate to engage with the substance of morality laws, not because constitutional arguments are weak, but because the political consequences are heavy. To strike down such laws is to risk being accused of defying religion, of eroding faith. It is a moral minefield where judicial independence meets with political vulnerability.
Resistance has led to small wins, such as state laws in Negeri Sembilan and Selangor being found invalid in court in 2021, although the former decision was overturned by the federal court.
It's one of history's cruel ironies that the very laws once imposed by the British Empire to control the West are now defended as ASEAN values. And what began as colonial control has been rebranded as cultural pride. And queer Malaysians, live with that contradiction every day.
While reforms are slow, ongoing dialogue among civil groups, health providers, and legal experts signals a gradual shift in understanding.
And what the LGBTQ plus community in Malaysia is fighting for is profoundly simple. It's the same rights everyone else already enjoys. The right to live, the right to choose, the right to relate, the right to exist without fear, the right to privacy, safety, and dignity. And these are all values already written into our federal constitution, even if they are not realized